So recently, at least at the time of this video being recorded, it was revealed that Spider-Man Homecoming will showcase Spider-Man having those webbing wings under his arms in at least one costume. I presume there'll be some sort of costume change throughout the movie. And presumably this is to help him fight the Vulture, who is the villain of the movie. Is it Vulture or the Vulture? Anyway, reports have come out that Spider-Man will at one point in the movie use his web wings to glide from tremendous heights, but hold on now. Has Spider-Man ever actually used his web wings to glide in the comic books? I mean, what are the actual functions of those things? So to answer this question, let's go ahead and take a look back all the way at the beginning of Spider-Man's career with Amazing Fantasy number 15. Now, I'm actually gonna be covering a little bit of Spider-Man's costume creation in a future video, so I'm gonna save most of that information for that video. But just to give you a quick rundown, originally Jack Kirby was supposed to design the costume, but Stan Lee didn't really like it, so he gave it to Steve Ditko, and Ditko drew up the classic Spider-Man costume that we all know and love today. And that costume was complete with webbing under the arms, for whatever reason. Now, I think it's important to remember here that the original Spider-Man costume in the context of the comic book story was not meant to be a superhero costume. Spider-Man wasn't immediately ushered into the superhero business. He got his powers and he used it to make money. And of course, a couple ways he did that was through a wrestling career, very brief and short-lived, but also through a career in TV entertainment. So it's very likely that Peter Parker designing his costume was only trying to go for flair and style instead of functionality. And this is where I'd probably have someone like Joel come in, who's like a big wrestling fan, and be like, yeah, look at all these wrestling costumes. I don't have time for that. You've seen wrestling, you get the idea.
The cream of the crop.
Now, to solidify the idea that there was really no function to these web wings, we get the very first issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 1, which showed us a very detailed breakdown of everything his costume functions as well as all of his powers and abilities as Spider-Man. Now, you'll notice that there's really no call to attention on the web wings as a functional part of the costume, which I think says a lot, considering that they were very detailed in this breakdown. I mean, they talked about every other minute detail of his costume, including how the sleeve length was very important. So you would think that if these were meant to be used for gliding, that Marvel would say so in these very specific pages, but nothing. Interestingly though, on another page we get to see a couple things that his webbing is capable of. One of them is functioning as a parachute. You'd think that if his plain old webbing can be used to glide via a parachute-like construct, then perhaps his underarm webbing doesn't do anything. Spider-Woman, on the other hand, has had underarm wings that were used for gliding or help with flight. My friend Dylan would hate me if I didn't at least point out that Spider-Woman and Spider-Man are not related in any way other than just having similar names. And in this particular case, a very similar costume choice. Only again, hers seemed to actually function, whereas Spider-Man's just looks cool, I guess, or at least Ditko thought it looked cool. As other writers and artists started getting on the books, the web wings kind of shrunk away into nothingness. They still appear in comics from time to time. It really just depends on whether the artist wants to draw them. But for the most part, because they didn't really serve a function, they kind of were just swept under the rug. Now, even though I can't recall a time in the comics when Spider-Man has used his web wings to glide, I'm still kind of real excited to see what the movie's gonna do with them. I mean, Spider-Man web swinging through the city is always super fun to watch, and now with that additional element of the gliding ability, could be some cool stuff. What do you think, though? Are you excited about the idea of Spider-Man possibly gliding in the Homecoming movie, or do you think it's just, we don't need web wings? Heck, even if you don't care one way or the other about him gliding, are you at least excited to see that original costume on the big screen? I mean, I'm sure it'll have other modifications to modernize it, but still, web wings. Are they even called web wings? I've just made that conclusion all on my own. Anyway, let's talk about it all in the comments down below, and drop a like as you head down there. To our longtime viewers, I just wanted to say, if you haven't caught our updates on the second NerdSync channel that we have, first of all, we have a second NerdSync channel. Secondly, we have an update video that lets you know about the future of NerdSync, why we're doing some different things and some changes. Definitely go watch that if you're invested in the NerdSync community at all. If you're new here, hi, how's it going? Hit that big sexy subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of our new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. We've also got some other videos right here about Spider-Man and other comic book goodness that you might be interested in. Sit back, stay a while. My name is Scott, reminding you to read between the panels and grow smarter through comics. See ya.